Even at the start of her life, Erika knew what it meant to love something wholeheartedly. You all think it's FFA, but being her younger sister, I know that it was her love for her baby doll Jacob that she ended up playing with until 8th grade.
Miss America can always bring joy to others, whether it's in the form of her sharing her love of cows, sharing another knee-slapping dad joke, that time we made students eat canned meat during a workshop, or just her classic Erika laugh.
She's always up for an adventure, whether it's cruising around in a Jeep with the top down, going to church with random old people that we just met at a movie theater, or kayaking down the Potomac River in DC. When you're with Erika, you know there'll always be laughs, life chats, and way too much ice cream.
While there is no doubt Erika is one fun, loving human, she also cares deeply about others, consistently believing in those who struggle to even believe in themselves.
Her genuine heart makes her someone that is so easy to love. She'll always make you feel loved and valued, and she'll prove that she's there for you by always showing up.
One thing I love about Erika is her encouragement she always gives. She's always so uplifting, and I couldn't be more thankful and proud of her impact that she's made for the kingdom of God through her FFA journey. She may have given up on her love for her baby doll Jacob, but she hasn't given up on
her love for adventure,
her love for others,
and her love for FFA.
Please welcome
my sister
and
our best friend, your National FFA Secretary, Erika Baier.
Keep fighting the good fight. Keep letting your light shine. 'Cause I'm never gonna leave you, always gonna see you through to the other side. Keep fighting the good.
So I have a question for you all. Have you ever had one of those days where you wake up and it's going relatively decent, but then one thing goes wrong and everything else the rest of the day just follows suit? Anybody else there with me? Yeah? Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. You see, in the 7th grade, I actually remember a very, very specific day that this happened. It started off in the locker room for PE, and I had my bag on, and I put my bag down, and I was rummaging through my stuff, and all of a sudden, it hit me. I forgot clothes for PE. See, now on a normal day, it'd be fine if we were playing dodgeball or that sort of thing, just low-key sweatpants and a sweatshirt. Oh no, this was a very important day. This was my first 7th grade volleyball game day, and because of it, I was wearing khakis and a polo. Yeah, it was rough. That's a gem, isn't it? Nonetheless, I immediately started freaking out. I was like, okay, well, I have my volleyball jersey, so I guess I'll put on my volleyball jersey, and khakis it is. But on the way to the gym, my mind started racing, thinking, oh my gosh, my gym teacher's probably gonna confront me about this. I'm not really good at confrontation. I'm probably gonna drop in points for the day. I definitely can still play dodgeball in khakis and a jersey. I'm pretty limber that way. But nonetheless, I trudged up the gym, the steps to the gym, and my gym teacher met me at the top of those steps, and he yelled out, Baier, didn't feel like dressing out today? And I was like, nope, I did not. I forgot clothes. I'm so sorry, though. And he responded back, interesting. It looks pretty comfy to run the mile in. Yeah, you see, in the midst of all that 7th grade homework, I had blanked that it was the last day to run the mile in PE. So great. So there I was, 7th grade, 160 pounds of pure ambition, woo, at the starting line. And my gym teacher hard out, on your mark. And I'm like, okay, we got this. Khakis, jersey, lightning speed. Get set. We totally don't have this. My khakis are sticking to my thighs already. I know I am probably going to chafe by the end of this. It was rough. It was rough, y'all. Go. jersey, khakis, and all. Now, as I made the laps around, my gym teacher is probably standing there thinking, oh my gosh, this girl is slower than a turtle that ate mashed potatoes for breakfast. But eventually, I did cross the finish line at 14 minutes. Wow, 14 seconds would have been really fast. That would have been really good khaki material, yeah. 14 minutes and 4 seconds later, I crossed the finish line, and we headed back inside to change. So I slipped back on my polo, but then the worry started coming, and I thought, oh my gosh, my khakis are really sweaty right now, and they're probably gonna end up smelling for the rest of the day, and people are definitely gonna freak out about what I'm wearing and all that. And then, oh no, I definitely did not study for that math test I have up next. I'm gonna fail that, and I did fail that. And my mom got mad, and then I had a volleyball game that night, and I sat on the bench because I was on B team. Your girl was not very good at volleyball. I did cross country for a reason in high school. And it just kept going on and on and on. Now, I wish I could say that I let fear in 7th grade. But if I'm being honest with you, fear still follows me every single day of my life. And some days it's the little baby fears, like simply wondering how people are going to perceive how I dress. Got you there because we're all dressed the same today. But other days, it's the bigger fears, like feeling unwanted or being unworthy. But here's the thing. Just because we feel fear doesn't mean we have to continue to let it control our lives. In fact, it is up to us every single day to combat fear and choose to do so together. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm a huge birthday person. Like the fact that you breathe 365 days, are you kidding me? That is worth cheering for. Go birthdays! Now, my past birthday, May 16th, was quite the interesting day. You see, normally you get to sleep in or you get to open a present earlier, so you eat birthday cake for breakfast. Thanks, Mom. But this birthday was a little bit different. You see, at 3 a.m., I woke up. I was at the airport by 4 a.m., and here I was poking in on that little kiosk. For those of you who flew here, you know what it's like. It's a really slow process. You're poking in on the kiosk, and it kept saying denied. And I was like, I know for a fact I did buy a plane ticket. I know I did that. So I finally compromised. I was like, okay, oh my gosh, I have to go speak to somebody now. That's intimidating. So I walked up to the counter, and I was like, ma'am, I tried checking in on the kiosk, and it kept saying denied like 4 times, so I need some help. She's like, what's your name? And I'm like, Erika, here's my ID. And she started typing away, looked up, typing away. She's like, oh, sweetheart, that flight was canceled. And I'm like, was it? That's so cool. I love that. But instead of just being a normal person and asking like, oh, when's the next flight? I just immediately started bawling because that's what I do in those situations. And the gal's like, oh, we can get you on another flight at 6 p.m. And I'm like, 13 hours from now, you can get me on a flight. And so I started crying even more. And finally, she helped me switch airlines, and I got my plane ticket and made it to North Carolina by noon. Phew. Yeah. Now, the next day, my teammate Bree and I ended up going on some foundation visits that morning. And all throughout those foundation visits, I could feel my phone continue to vibrate, but it's kind of rude if you answer your phone in the middle of a foundation visit. So I waited until lunch, and I stepped outside to take the phone call I had been expecting. Hey, Dr. Dean, this is Erika. I'm really, really sorry that I missed your call. Hey, Erika, how are you doing, girl? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Celebrated my birthday yesterday. I made it to North Carolina with my teammate Bree. Haven't seen her for a while. It's going awesome. She's like, oh, that's great. I'm really glad to hear that. Hey, we got your results back from your biopsy, and I wanted to share those with you. Erika, as we put that through the testing, we ended up finding some abnormal cells, so we decided to put it through a couple more tests. And Erika, you have Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a form of cancer. cancer? I did not hear the rest of that phone call. The first thing my mind immediately thought was, I am a national officer, and I am supposed to travel for the next 6 months of my life. How could this even happen? What are my teammates gonna think when they find out? What are the members gonna think when they find out? What happens if I lose my hair? People are gonna think I'm weak and incapable of doing this. What happens if I don't even have that much time to live? Now, Bree and I took a direct flight home that night, and over the next couple of days, we spent a lot of time Googling practically everything under the sun about Hodgkin's lymphoma, chemotherapy, like all sorts of things. And I don't know why it didn't occur to me in that moment, but we were looking at sites like WebMD and Wikipedia, and like, I don't know why, I've never trusted those in my whole entire life, but here I was looking at them. Note of information here. Don't trust those sites. Still, bad news. Now, we also spent some time talking about, okay, if I'm gonna lose my hair, I'm gonna need some like cool wigs to wear around or something. And so we started coming up with some things like this. Right? I don't know about y'all, but like, bottom left-hand corner there. Woo! That is awesome! Now, eventually, Bree had to take off for her next state convention, but I ended up staying back in Iowa. And over the next couple of weeks, I spent a lot of time going to a lot of different appointments. They drew lots of blood, and I finally learned how to not pass out when they did that after the first couple times. I had cardiac tests and breathing tests, and I got a port put into my chest. It's this little metal thing in here, and they poke all the stupid needles into it, okay? And I'm Iron Woman. I didn't want to tell you guys in this way, but I'm sorry. I am Iron Woman. It set the metal detector off at the airport. You should see the looks that they give you for that. It's pretty intense. But the result, 6 months of chemotherapy, every 2 weeks, fatigue, nausea, doing cold cap therapy to keep my hair. Those weeks, gosh, I tried so hard to not let anybody know how scared I actually was. Because I had read a lot of articles, and there's a 90% success rate with treatment of Hodgkin's lymphoma, but for some reason, I kept thinking about that other 10%. And everybody loves talking about this 90% in all of the appointments, and you're gonna do so great, Erika, but there is still a 10% that nobody has addressed, and I was scared out of my mind that that was going to end up being me. Now, the doctor throughout some of those appointments told me, you know, you can travel, but you're probably not gonna be able to because your white blood cell count is too low, lots of germs in airports and schools, it's kind of gross. And you wanna know what I did to that? The very next week, I hopped on an airplane, had a gallon of hand sanitizer going through security. Just kidding, only 3 ounces, folks. I don't know why that's a rule, but it is. Nonetheless, in like the first 5 minutes of being in the airport, I was so paranoid, so I was like lathering up, used all my hand sanitizer, had to go get another one. And then as we're getting on the plane, as I was putting my bag up, I was like, oh my gosh, the hand sanitizer only kills 99.9% of germs, and there's still 0.01 left. So my compromise was breathing into my sweatshirt for the entire flight to Indianapolis. But nonetheless, I finally made it, and I was intact at the end of the flight. Now, as I walked through the door to the FFA center, it hit me. I had just done what the doctor said was probably going to be pretty impossible to do. And it was in that moment that I realized the real enemy is not our situation. The real enemy wasn't the cancer. The real enemy wasn't the doctors. No. The real enemy here is fear. And we have to stop fearing the fight and start fighting the fear. Now, let me put it this way to you. I think a lot of us know in this room that our time is limited. It's kind of a given, right? But for some reason, we choose not to take that to heart, me included. But for the first time, and because we don't take that to heart, we end up letting fear stop us in our tracks. And because we let fear stop us in our tracks, we stop because we know tomorrow's always going to be there to do the things we chose not to do today. But as I was sitting in that doctor's office for the first time in my life, it occurred to me that my time actually might be limited. And as I was sitting there thinking about that, I ended up putting myself into a certain scenario, and I'd invite you all to join in this scenario with me. If you had 20 seconds left to live, what would you do? 10. And just like that, time is up. What were you thinking? Who did you think about? You know, the thing about it, 20 seconds, quite frankly, is not a lot of time to do anything except maybe yell, "I love you," right? It's barely time to call somebody you love or even send a text message. 20 seconds isn't a lot of time. But in 20 seconds, we were able to identify the things that we've probably been too scared to do before now. And even though we were having all of these different thoughts, every single one of us in this room having different thoughts, we actually had one commonality. In 20 seconds, there's not time for fear. That is how we need to start living. We do instead of fear. What's got you scared? What fear do you need to choose to fight today? What lies has fear been feeding you all these years? Ladies and gentlemen, today we have the opportunity to say no to fear. We need to stop believing the lies that fear has continued to feed you and start believing that you were made for a moment such as this. We stop fearing the fight and we start fighting the fear. Yeah. Now, another question for you. We're going to flash back to middle school again because middle school is just a really great time in my life, as you can probably already tell. Who remembers watching Hannah Montana in middle school? Anybody? Yeah. Now, before I knew it, I loved Hannah Montana in middle school, okay? But I never expected to live a Hannah Montana life. And before I knew it, I was living a Hannah Montana life. You see, there was sick Erika, but then there was FFA Erika. And FFA Erika made a promise to herself that nobody was going to find out that she was sick. So soon enough, I found myself on the way to Arizona, land of cacti and Mexican food, for you guys who don't know that. Oh yeah, love you, Arizona. And I went to their camp, and as we started camp off, like most camps, we had teams and lots of activities, but these activities were very, very physically challenging for this kid. You see, we were running, I was a part of a team, and we were running from station to station, and sick Erika was like, "Oh my gosh, my lungs are dying because of the chemo, please stop." But then FFA Erika was like, forge on. We will not surrender. And then later in the week, as we had some different small group activities, gosh, sick Erika was like, please, can we share? Can we be a part of the group? Pretty please. And FFA Erika's like, no, we are not sharing anything at all, ever. During that week, I met my friend Jackson. And Jackson and I didn't really have a super significant friendship. In fact, most of our conversations that week revolved around him wanting my camp lanyard, and I forgot to tell you guys, one moment. Okay, so there's this other side of Erika, there's a third Erika, and her name is Lanyard Erika, and she's so weird. She has collected lanyards since the 4th grade. Yeah, she's so weird. So every time Jackson would ask, can I have your camp lanyard? She'd be like, no, like never. I have to protect this. But as the week went on and on, Jackson continued to share more about his life. And my walls were built tall. And as my walls were built tall, gosh, I started feeling more and more guilty for not choosing to share anything back. And so finally, on the last night of camp, I decided to share my story during a keynote. And I had to leave right after that keynote, so I was on my way to the airport in a pickup truck when I got a message from Jackson. And it said, hey, Erika, your story really spoke to me tonight, and I want to let you know that you're not alone. You see, my sister, we lost my sister 4 years ago to a battle with cancer. And 2 months later, I was diagnosed with a rare blood disease. But because of my friends and family, I got through it. And I want you to know that you will never fight alone. I barely knew Jackson. But Jackson, through his vulnerability, taught me that we fight together. Jackson taught me that week that people want to help us, but guys, we have to be willing to let them help us. Stop fighting fear alone and start fighting fear together. And fighting fear together looks different for all of us. For some of us, it might be relying on friends and family or maybe our faith. And just because we do that doesn't mean our situation magically just disappears. I wish it did, but it doesn't. Doesn't mean everything is all happy again. It simply means we have exactly what we need to get through that given situation. Who do you need to trust today? In fact, some of the best fights, some of the best battles come fully clothed in fear, because if we saw the snapshot of the other side of fear, we wouldn't need our friends, our family, and our faith in the first place. Who will you trust today to help you fight some of your biggest fears? Who has been there for you in the midst of fear? Now, if you're that person in the crowd today that's saying, Erika, I don't know about this whole thing. I have a lot of baggage, and I don't know if I can trust anybody with that baggage, then you need to know that there is somebody standing on this stage right here that cares so much about you. And if you're that person in the crowd today saying, Erika, I'm not really scared of anything. My life's actually going pretty good right now. Then it's time to show up for somebody who is scared. We keep our walls down, we keep our hearts open, and we create vulnerable relationships. We stop fighting fear alone, and we start fighting fear together. Yeah. Now, about a month ago, I was starting to write this retiring address, and I'll be honest, I hit one of the lowest points in my life that I've ever been. I was scared of what everybody was gonna think of my story. I was scared of what life is gonna be like after all of this ends. Gosh, the list goes on. And on that night, on that specific night, I ended up having a really big meltdown. Like, I'm talking the kind of meltdown in a Homewood Suites, on the bathroom floor, with a huge pile of cheap toilet paper on my lap, and like the whole snot thing going on there. Oh, so gross. But on that night, I decided no more. I decided I was done letting fear control my life. And maybe you've been there before. Maybe you're there right now. But I committed to myself. I gave myself 20 seconds to get up off that floor and do something more with my life than just be scared all the time. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is our night to stop letting fear control our lives. In fact, let's throw 20 seconds up on the screen right now. Right now is our turning point to leave fear behind. It takes 20 seconds to take that first step, to make that choice, to reach out to somebody, to start that conversation, to write down that dream. Our time is ticking, and we have to stop fearing the fight, and start fighting the fear. We stop fighting fear alone, and we start fighting fear together. Fear stops now. And just like that, time is up, and it is our time to fight.
Oh, to everyone who's hit their limit, it's not over yet, it's not over yet. And even when you think you're finished, it's not over yet, it's not over yet. Keep on fighting, out of the dark into the light. It's not over, hope is rising. Never give in, never give up. It's not over, yeah. Oh, game, set, match. Time to put it in your past. Oh, feel the winds of living. It's redemption season.
Erika, your love for corn, cows, and Casey's breakfast pizza makes you the goofy and compassionate Iowan that we know and love. You are strong through every circumstance, and your strength allows others to be just as strong. Your determination and convictions through all of life challenge others to stand up and be just as enthusiastic. Little Beefer, you are incredible. Just 1 year, one team, one you. Love, Ian, Gracie, Bryce, Piper, and Bree. Ladies and gentlemen, your National FFA Secretary, Miss Erika Baier.
Oh, to everyone who's hit their limit, it's not over yet, it's not over yet. And even when you think you're finished, it's not over yet, it's not over yet. Keep on fighting, out of the dark into the light. It's not over, hope is rising. Never give in, never give up. It's not over, yeah.